After knowing the basic stuff of After Effects user interface, in this lesson we will cover all the essential stuffs about composition and composition setting inside of After Effects. Why you need to have a composition inside of After Effects. What is the composition itself? Okay, composition is the collection of all footage and layers that you have inside of your timeline. And what you do inside of After Effects is composition. And you need to have at least one composition to work in After Effects. In this lesson, we'll cover all the stuffs, all the important stuff while creating composition, and we'll review how many settings we have and all these stuff. For creating composition inside of After Effects, there is two ways. The first way to go to the menu bar and choose new composition, and another way is to press Ctrl N on your keyboard. Once you press Ctrl N on your keyboard, you see this window, a dialog box. The first thing that you have to do is to specify your composition name. In here, comp1 is pre-default name, but you can change it. For example, test, and also in these two categories, we have a different kind of settings. For example, the first one is presets. In here, you can choose your preset formats. For example, if you want to create HDV movies or different kinds of formats, for example, PAL, NTSC, DVC Pro, or if you want to create films for different aspect ratios for films, for example, 2K or 4K, you can choose it from here. In my case, I'm using HDV 1080p 25 frames per second, and I'm choosing this for this video. Okay, and in here you can adjust your width and height of your composition. And also what the locked aspect ratio is does. A locked aspect ratio is lock the width and height with each other. For example, if it's unchecked, when I change the width, the height is not changed. The aspect ratio is not locked. And if I check on this, you see that when I change the width, the height is also changed according to the pixel aspect ratio. It's very useful to select from the presets because these are standard forms, and if you need, in some cases, you can change it. In here, you can adjust your pixel aspect ratio. For example, HDV, square pixel, anamorphic, if you're working with films, and this kind of stuff. I'm using HDV 1080p DVC Pro, and the aspect ratio for this is 16:9, aspect ratio 1.78. And also, you can adjust your frame rate. You can choose from different presets, for example, 16 frames per second, 15 frames per second, and these kind of stuff. And you can also type your desired value, and the maximum value for your frame rate is 100, and the value higher than 100 is not supported by After Effects. For example, if I type 120, you see that it's changed to 99 because it's not supported. Okay, I'm using 25 per second. In here, we have our resolution, and this is not the actual resolution for your composition. It's just for playback options. If you work in your timeline and you want to see what you have been created inside of your timeline, you can just adjust your resolution and its playback quality. It's just for playback quality. It's not affecting on your actual final render. In here, we have our time code. It's represent the frame, second, minute, and the hour. And also, the next one is the duration, how long you want to create your composition. For example, in here, I type in here 20 second, and my composition is create just for 20 seconds long, and you can also change it once you create it. The next thing is the background color of your composition. Default background color is black, and you can also change it to any colors you want, for example, blue or anything else. I'm just creating the default background. And also you can select any color from your screen by clicking on the eyedropper. And also the another options are in advanced category. These are advanced settings inside of your composition. For example, 3D rendering mode engine or 3D render engines or motion blur adjusting, and these kind of stuff that we can cover it on the next lesson in this course. Okay, once your setting is finished, click OK for creating your composition. And also one thing more, that when you create your composition, the aspect ratio is 4:3, and if you want to work 16:9, there is an option in here that you have to change it, and click on that, and your pixel aspect ratio is now 16:9. Okay, and also you can have multiple composition inside of After Effects, and there is no any actual limitation. You can have multiple composition in After Effects for your project. Once you create your composition, you can now import your footage and files and graphic assets to After Effects. How can you import? There is three ways actually. And the short way is to using keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcut for importing files inside of After Effects is Control I. Once you click Control I, you can choose your file and you can import it inside of After Effects. For example, I want to import this car to After Effects. Click on this and click on the open. You see that my footage is now in the project panel, and all the specific information about this is located in here, endpoint, size, and all the other information. You can also import your footage to After Effects by going to Files and click on the Import File. And also you can import multiple files by clicking on the multiple files in here. For example, I want to import this and this. Okay, once you click on this, you have to press Control key, or you can select it like this with your mouse. Okay, I want to import these two files inside of After Effects, and once I select it with mouse, I'm choosing open. And you see, you can, once the file is imported, you can choose multiple files in here, for example this, and it's going on until you click done. There is another option also in import, and you can also import Adobe Premiere projects inside of After Effects. For example, when you change a setting in here, it's also applied to your Adobe Premiere project, and it's Pro Import After Effects that you can also import all the version of After Effects project inside of newer version. And also vanishing point, that when you create a vanishing point, for example, inside of Photoshop, and you have to create a virtual camera, and I'm not going through vanishing point because it's advanced, and maybe we have some courses in this, and also you can search on internet about this. You can also import placeholder. Once you import placeholders, when you save your project, another person can change the place of your file. And also solid, you can import solid from your computer. The another way is for importing your footage inside of After Effects is by clicking on the blank space of project panel. Once I click, there is also a dialog for importing, and I'm choosing my files and click open. Okay, once you import your files inside of After Effects, you can now grab it in the timeline and start working on them. And also you can create a folder in here for your different assets, for example, graphic or anything else. And you can choose your files and put it on your bin. And you can also delete the folders, and you can change the beat per channel. It's the color space beats, and you can adjust the color depth. In the next lesson, we will cover the tools bar. These are very, very important tools for creating your project and organizing your project inside of After Effects.